Welcome to another part of the CoreTrustSeal requirements video series. In this series, we talk you through the new CoreTrustSeal requirements for the period of 2023 to 25. You will learn about the details of each requirement, the evidence expected of applicants, extended guidance, and the changes compared to the previous version of the requirements. This video covers requirement number 4. The fourth requirement of the CoreTrustSeal is legal and ethical, and it reads as follows. The repository ensures to the extent possible that data and metadata are created, curated, preserved, accessed, and used in compliance with legal and ethical norms. This requirement relates to repository awareness and processes around legal and ethical issues, including privacy and confidentiality, that impact the creation, curation, and use of digital objects. Why is this a requirement of a trustworthy digital repository? To maintain the trust of those who agree to have their digital objects held by the repository, evidence should demonstrate practices that reflect the legal status and sensitivity of digital objects, including guidance for depositors and users on how to create, curate, and use the object. All organizations responsible for data have an ethical duty to manage them to the level expected by the designated community. In addition to national and international expectations of scientific practice for repositories holding data about individuals, organizations, indigenous people, or protected areas and species, there are additional legal and ethical expectations. Disclosure of these data could prevent a risk of personal harm, a breach of commercial confidentiality, or the release of critical information. If there is any risk that identifiable data are deposited, the repository must take appropriate measure to ensure they are dealt with in accordance with legal regulations. To sum up, depositors of data should feel safe to deposit sensitive or confidential data in a repository, as they can trust the correct procedures are in place to comply with applicable legal and ethical regulations. Also, users should feel adequately informed on how to interact with all digital objects in a way that also complies with these regulations. The evidence that is needed in the response statement for this requirement should show repository practices that reflect the legal status and sensitivity of digital objects, including guidance for depositors and users. Evidence should demonstrate that the applicant understands their legal environment and the relevant ethical practices, and that they have documented procedures in place to ensure conformity. The response statement and evidence should include references to the ways in which the repository identifies and manages relevant legal and ethical standards that impact operations, compliance with specific legal and/or ethical discipline or domain standards, the information that is requested from depositors to confirm that the data collection or creation was carried out in accordance with legal and ethical criteria, as they are specified in the relevant geographical location or discipline. For example, an ethical review committee or institutional review board or data protection legislation. Applicants also need to indicate whether they hold any data or metadata with disclosure risk, such as information on depositor or user, or personal, cultural, or environmental information. It should be noted that this requirement also includes the appropriate handling of data and metadata about the users of repository services. If the applicant indicates they hold data or metadata with a disclosure risk, additional evidence is required for the response statement. This further evidence includes information on the special procedures applied to manage disclosure risk, the conditions that are specified for distribution, access protection, and use, the processes that are in place to review disclosure risk and the necessary steps that are taken to either anonymize files or to provide access in a secure way. Reference should be made to the staff training that is in place on the management of digital objects with disclosure risk, as well as the guidance that is provided to depositors and users on the responsible deposit, download, and use of disclosive or potentially disclosive data and metadata. For applicants that hold data or metadata with a disclosure risk, the target compliance level should be implemented. The guidance for this requirement indicates to applicants where certain related evidence should be reported. The management of related rights and compliance checks should be covered under requirement number 2, rights. Measures to protect digital objects should be addressed under requirement number 16, security. A couple of example statements from applications are presented here to further explain some aspects of the evidence that is expected for requirement number 4. Please note that these are merely examples of aspects of the requirement and by no means are a complete response statement. The first example is not satisfactory, as the applicant does not detail any of the information that is requested of the depositor to confirm compliance with the relevant regulations. In a second example, we do see a request of certain information with the depositor in the form of a written and signed agreement. The response statement should elaborate on all the exact obligations that are part of that agreement and/or link to a public version of the document to further solidify the answer. The third example shows that the applicant provides guidance to depositors and users on the correct use of disclosive or potentially disclosive data. This is an example of the extended evidence that is needed when a repository holds data or metadata with disclosure risk. The last example indicates that the repository holds data with a disclosure risk and is in the process of developing staff training on this topic. The guidance on requirement number 4 states that applicants that hold data or metadata with a disclosure risk should have a target compliance level of implemented. This is why this example is not yet satisfactory. What changes have been made to this requirement compared to the previous version of the CoreTrustSeal requirements? The place in the order and structure of the requirements has remained unchanged. This requirement is still number 4 and still relates to the topic of organizational infrastructure. The name of the requirement has changed to reflect that many data protection measures are not only ethically but also legally governed. The guidance text of the previous version of the requirement already stated this, but the choice was made to highlight this even further in the current version by including it in the name. Other textual changes in the requirements are the inclusion of metadata to highlight that all information should comply with relevant regulations. Preservation is now also included to cover a more complete list of actions. Lastly, the term disciplinary has been taken out of the text to support a wider range of applicants. The further changes in the requirement number 4 and its guidance text reflect a more explicit focus on legal government of data protection measures, as well as a stronger focus on evidence that demonstrates understanding of legal and ethical frameworks that the applicant works within. A clearer separation of guidance related to digital objects with and without disclosure risk has been made to better inform applicants of the evidence needed in their specific situation. These changes are supposed to bring clarity to the applicants and reviewers on the expected evidence and information in the response statement. This concludes the instruction on requirement number 4 of the new CoreTrustSeal requirements. Similar instruction videos can be found on all the other requirements on the CoreTrustSeal YouTube channel. You can find the full set of new requirements for the period of 2023 to 25 on the CoreTrustSeal website. If you have any remaining questions or would like more information, please contact CoreTrustSeal using the email address shown here.